Direct from the land of palm trees, sunshine, and Klieg lights, welcome to Skip B. Lowe Looks at Hollywood. First before our cameras today is an actress and singer who caught the public's attention when she appeared as the daughter of Mary Martin and Alan Jones in The Great Victor Herbert. However, she was to make her greatest impact when she moved to Universal Pictures and starred in a series of films, including the notable remake of Phantom of the Opera. Need I say that I refer to the golden-voiced Susanna Foster. To say he starred in Second Fiddle, The Palm Beach Story, and Mother Was a Freshman might not stir any immediate recognition. There's no question of our second guest's identity, though, when I add that he is a singer, led his own orchestra, and immortalized the megaphone. Who else other than the vagabond lover himself, Rudy Vallee? And now, to greet and to speak with today's guests, here he is, our man of the half hour, Skip E. Lowe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Looking at Hollywood today. We have a very Hollywood show for you. I want you to sit back and relax because I want you to meet my first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to meet one of Hollywood's great stars in the 40s. She was a great singing star at Universal. She's an internationally known, lovely Miss Susanna Foster. How are you, darling?
Hi, Skippy.
You're lovely, darling.
Thank you.
Tell me something. Why did you give up your career, the height of your career, in the 40s? I mean, at Universal, you were at the height of your career, and you just gave it up and you left Hollywood. Where did you go?
Well, it isn't just where I went, it's where I came from. MGM brought me out to Hollywood when I was just barely 12 years old. And I was with them for a year, and then after another year, they let me go because Deanna Durbin they had let go, so they were signing, girl singers
At
like
Universal?
crazy. Yeah, no, this is MGM.
MGM.
And so then they let me go, and then I went to Paramount. I made 3 films for them, and so it was kind of, I started very early.
What were the 3 films?
Oh, I made The Great Victor Herbert with Mary. That was Mary's first picture, Mary Martin. And Alan Jones.
And that was your first picture?
He was so wonderful. Yeah, that was my first film.
You played the daughter?
I played the daughter and got, very good reviews. Then I made a film called, well, they originally called it The Hard-Boiled Canary, which is, I thought it was a good title, but it was, they said it sounded like a singing prize fighter, So they called it back, brought it back in and retitled it There's Magic in Music. Then I made another film with Jackie Cooper, who I really love.
The Gold and...
The Glamour Boy.
The Glamour Boy.
Glamour Boy.
Yes.
And that had a lot to do about Skippy, that he made when he was a youngster. And then I left Paramount. They wanted to keep me on, and I wouldn't do it at the same salary. I was going to quit then. I thought, this is ridiculous. I started in this business when I was 11 years old, and I've had too much. I want to quit. And instead, I went to Universal.
You've been singing since you were 11? You were singing since you were 11?
Oh, yes. I sang in, oh, yeah, this is during the Depression. I'm 60 years old.
60?
And you better believe it. And I don't know. It's the first decade I thought about those zeros, Anyway, really. The 40s, the 50s, the 30s never meant a thing. But 60, hey. Anyway, so then I went to Universal because they were interested in finding someone to play with Nelson Eddy in the Phantom of the Opera, and originally Deanna Durbin was going to do it. Deanna Durbin saved Universal.
Oh, she was going to do the original?
Yes, originally. And then I guess for some reason either she didn't, it wasn't a big enough part, or I don't know what the reasons were. I really don't know. But I went out there and I auditioned for George Wagner, the producer, who died just recently. I'm sorry to say. And Edward Ward, who's my dear musical friend, and so they signed me. And Arthur Lubin directed it and did my test, and then I really did most of all my films. I only made 10 films altogether. I did 7 for Universal.
10.
So altogether, you see, by the time I was 21, and I had a trust fund, which wasn't really a lot of money, but I was kind of tired of the whole thing, and I wanted to study singing seriously because I had many people from the Metropolitan and around who had, like Vimatal from Vimatal and all, who felt that was where I really belonged. John Charles Thomas had said at a dinner party, I understand that I was the only one in films. I shouldn't maybe be saying these things,
That's all right, darling. But
anyway, he said that I should really be in opera,
Seriously studying.
Yes, and of course I love music dearly, I mean, it was my passion. And I love to sing. I had the soul of a singer, no 2 ways about that.
That's right.
And so then, it was when I had this trust fund, it was in 1945, I wanted to study. So I found Dusolina Giannini, who was a big star with the Metropolitan Opera, and she was a renowned musician, and I felt that I had to, I was beginning to imitate myself as a singer. I was flamboyant and had a lot of passion and ardor when I sang, and I thought I was overdoing it, and I needed somebody to put me together, kind of close it up, and I wanted to know more about music, really, you know, not just the technical things like learning music theory and all that kind of thing.
You want to study
I wanted
languages
to
and
understand. Yes,
Yeah.
well, I already had. I'd had 4 years of French and was good in that. But I wanted I wanted to understand music. This is very hard to explain. It's very difficult.
But
Anyway,
Susan, this is what you brought. This is what people really remember. Your
Yeah, Phantom.
Phantom
It's
of
Dirk Claude
the
Rains.
Opera. Can we get a close-up of this? That's it. Look at that. That's beautiful. What scene was this in?
Oh, that was in the catacombs when we go down there and he plays the concerto, the lullaby of the bells.
Oh, that's lovely.
He was
That's
wonderful. He was a wonderful man.
And this was filmed at Universal?
Yeah, that was at Universal. That was my
Universal?
first film there. And that really,
Was with
Universal
Claude
was
Rains?
wonderful.
Claude
to me.
Rains was in that?
Claude Rains and Nelson Eddy.
Nelson. What kind of man was Claude Rains?
Oh, he was a delightful man. Very reserved,
Uh-huh.
but there was a twinkle there that showed there was a reason he had 4 wives, let me tell you. He was a delightful person. And when my not the second, was the 3rd or 4th film I made with Boris Karloff, and I found him very cold. Maybe he was cold because he thought I'd be more scared of him, I don't know, in the climax of with Turhan Bey. But with
That was a great movie, Climax.
The Climax,
Yes. Where's that filmed at?
That was filmed, they were all done then at Universal.
Universal?
Universal's the one that was stuck with me and built me, but the
You
trouble
and
is...
Diana Durbin, right?
Well, Deanna started,
Right.
you see. Deanna came there in 1936 and did Three Smart Girls and brought the studio right out from under. They were
She
they
did.
were dying.
I see.
And she was a huge hit, and then she made that marvelous film, which should have won every Academy Award, 100 and a Girl, and that was made in 37. And then she went on. So then they felt, I guess, they had to have more child singers. So then, by this time I was 18 when just turned 18 when I made Phantom. But they brought Gloria Jean just before me, and she did the Underpuppet, which she was
Right.
delightful.
Was Bobby Breen around then?
Bobby Breen was around at the time that Deanna was on radio with Eddie Cantor. And he sang, and he did some lovely films too. They weren't the big, huge successes that Deanna's were. Hers were overnight sensations.
Yes.
She had a truly spectacular career because it was like once in a million that could happen to a person, that you just suddenly be in a film and you're an overnight sensation and you bring a studio out from under.
How did
and-
she handle her career?
Well, I think
at
she
that
had
time?
marvelous management. What she did herself, I don't know. I thought she kind of botched it up at the end because I don't think she should have started being sexy. Her acting sexy or whatever. Stars, once they've been going for a while, they begin to have ideas about themselves,
Right,
you know.
right.
And I never got that far, you see, because every time I looked at myself on the screen, I said, she's terrible. My God, she isn't Jeanette MacDonald, she isn't Deanna Durbin, she's nothing. And I
Really?
couldn't-
Is that the
I
way you
hated
felt about
myself.
yourself?
Oh, I didn't like myself.
Did you really?
Really.
There's a lot of people out there.
My singing sometimes, a couple of things I did I was proud of. But I mean, I felt that I showed that I had, big talent. But and as I say, I really should have been a concert singer. That's opera. Everyone said she left because of opera. I left to study, to really understand.
Yes,
and
yes. That's why you
it's
really
so
gave
hard
up.
to explain this.
That's why
Very
you
hard.
gave up Hollywood.
I wanted the
Susan.
meaning of music,
You just didn't want to be a Hollywood.
Oh no, I
Glamour
couldn't stand it. The
Couldn't?
euphoria and the craziness. And all my people, my friends were out of the business,
I
and they're
see.
also wild. And I told you I just learned about
But you
Spargle.
married- yes,
I never
Spargle,
heard of
that's
Spargle. I mean, this you got to know all these things and go places. That's
Susanna,
impossible.
tell
now,
me
anyway.
something. Susanna Foster, you've been living here in
I
Hollywood?
talk forever, don't I?
That's right. No, you don't. You're lovely. You live here in Hollywood, do you?
Yes, I do in North Hollywood.
In North Hollywood?
Yes.
And you seem very happy right now.
But yeah,
What are you doing
I'm
right
happy
now?
because I'm being with you. I'm not always that happy.
You're not? What are you doing at the moment, Susanna? Anything interesting? to
Well,
talk about?
I'm poor, I was homeless, and I had a friend
Homeless?
who, yes, that's right. In fact, I said the word, now it's becoming a big thing to say homeless, but I really was. I had been taking care of my grandson, and then my son and his wife went back together. This was during their separation, and I was left flat with my car. I'd been living in my car with a disability from this hand that has to be operated on. And then I stayed with the grandson, took care of him after that, and they just sort of blew away on me and left me alone, and I had nowhere to go. And a film buff, a woman friend, I was living in the car, and I was going to a job, and I wanted to go shower at her place.
Yes.
And I had my dog besides. He and I slept in the back of the car.
Really?
And, I can tell you stories. Let me tell you,
When
I
was
could write
this,
a
Susanna?
book.
When was this, Susanna?
This was in 1981.
1980?
81, 82, May 82. Finally, when I went, so she found a man named Sam Lieberman, who was a buff and disabled himself. He'd had a brain tumor operation and been through a great deal of difficulty, and lived in a small apartment, although his family takes care of him, and
Yes.
he doesn't have to worry, financially. And so she couldn't take me in because her shower everybody used in where they lived in Hollywood. So he took me in. And there's no relationship like man-woman,
Yes, yes,
he's
yes.
much younger and all that. He's just a very good friend.
Yes.
And he gave me a place to stay. And so then we found, I had the dog, he loves the dog.
Oh, nice.
And I just had no money, no anything. And he fed me and that's just what this is the
That's
story.
lovely, Susanna.
And then I'm not a contact person, I mean, I don't know a lot of people in the business, and I don't know how to go about it
Susanna
exactly.
Foster, you're still singing it.
Well, I sing, yeah,
Great voice.
but I don't
Beautiful
practice
voice.
the way
No.
I should. No, I don't have a piano or anything now. And I've made kind of a home because Sam didn't have anything before, and he was living alone, and he just went to that apartment.
Don't you do singing
Just-
for the things out at the Screen Actors Guild home or anything like that?
No, I feel there's sort of a transition of some sort that I'm going, would have to go through. And if I were going to do something publicly, or even to go out into church or what have you, you've got to work, you've got to practice. At least that's my discipline. And I don't, you see, I was known for my extraordinary range. I could take a B flat above high C, which I did in the great Victor Herbert. And G's above high C were nothing for me, and A flats and so on. I had a big low range, and then I had a break in the middle. This was a big thing for me. I wanted to learn to string that voice up together. That's one of the reasons I started to study.
Susanna, Lullaby of the Bells.
Yes.
What a beautiful song that was from Phantom of
Edward
the
Ward.
Opera. Right, it's great.
I loved
Look at
him
that.
so
Look at
much.
that camera pan. Look at that. Susanna and Nelson Eddy.
Oh, he wanted me to go
What kind
on
of
tour
man
with
was
him.
he? Was he a really?
Oh, the most harmonious.
Was he?
Most harmonious, dear person. He wanted me to tour with him,
Look how
concert tour
beautiful
with
you
him,
look.
and I was such a stupid, dumb fool not to do it. I was scared, I never realized that Nelson would have taken care of me, And that would have been the ideal thing, because you sing only 3 times a week. Later on, after I got married to Wilbur Evans, who's a very fine artist.
I thought, is that why you left Hollywood? I thought you got married. That's not the reason.
No, I left to study and to work, and I did.
But your husband
And-
was a great singer.
Well, he was a marvelous artist, much better than this country understood, in concert and all.
And you
He
worked-
should have gone to Europe. Well, we finally went, after I married him when I was 23. I met him in Naughty Marietta for Ed Lester.
Yes.
Out here,
Yes,
who has the Los Angeles Light
Yes,
Opera.
yes,
He's having a 90th birthday celebration. And he started all of this way back in the early 40s or before. So I met Wib, which was his nickname, Wilbur Evans, when we did Naughty Marietta together in 1948. I was getting sort of down on my singing. I didn't feel I was, after I'd worked with Giannini, I felt that I had not learned what I wanted to learn. I'd learned a great deal from her musically, but vocally I was not happy.
I see.
And so I met him in New York, and this time I was really running out of money, I mean running out. And so he said, "Come on, I'll look." He said, "Oh, he says, you're singing too down. You're going to sing happy, up, up. So he made me come back out to Hollywood, and I worked with him. And we did Naughty Marietta then together. I played that wonderful Curran Theater in San Francisco. Marvelous acoustic, no microphones, nothing there.
San Francisco. You just mentioned.
San Francisco, yes.
You opened the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, that was in 1939.
1939.
I was 14. That's
You were
right.
14?
14 years old.
With, who's...
Grace Moore sang there. Oh, everybody. Lawrence Tibbett. Oh, she was
What kind of
one
a
of my
thrill was
favorites.
that when you were just 14?
Well, I don't know, when you're going through all that, a thrill isn't the word. Scared stiff is
Was
the
it?
word. Oh man, every time before I went on, I was just, I used to pray to God I'd be struck dead before I got out there, But once you get out there, you're like a racehorse,
right.
And somehow, you give it everything you got. And,
I have a guy who's really like a racehorse. He's one of a great American actors. He's been around Hollywood for years, and he is one of my favorites, and I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
When you say actor, now you're talking.
Yes, he is. and a great singer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Rudy Vallee.
Ah!
Let's get Rudy Vallee. Look at him. Hello, Rudy.
Come on.
Come out there. Come up, Rudy.
Come on.
Rudy, yes.
Sure.
Come on, Rudy. Oh, that's all right, Rudy.
I was
How
just
you
telling you
doing?
about the vagabond lover.
How
I
are you?
had.
Great vagabond lover. Now, why do they call you the Susanna Foster, Rudy Vallee?
Because of a song called...
Because
Just the Vagabond.
of the song.
It was the first record she heard of mine.
Yes, I had it in 1929. I was 4 years old.
And so they titled that for you, the Rudy Vallee, the vagabond
We
lover.
decided to call my first picture dark. We never mentioned this picture in our family. They're still fumigating the theaters where it was shown.
They did make a film of that?
Yes.
Really?
They did. Yes.
My first visit to Hollywood. This is supposed to have it on the back, but this one was...
When did you first come to
the South Rise
Hollywood?
General of the
When did you first come to Hollywood, Rudy?
1929. September,
1920.
Labor Day weekend, 1929.
Was this the first 1,000 that you made, or what?
What? No. I give you my card. In printing this, they didn't put... It's supposed to be, the address is supposed to be in the back.
Oh, you're giving this to me.
What was your first
It's a gag.
motion?
The
Rudy,
South Rise General worth $1,000.
what was your first motion picture?
The
The
Vagabond Lover.
Vagabond Lovers, and who was in that?
RKO, 1929.
Who was in that
A
one?
really young sister.
Uh-huh.
I can't think of her name. It wasn't young, but I can't think of her name.
Tell me something. Alice Faye. You...
Oh.
If I had
Started
not
her
an
career.
affected left foot
Yeah. Go ahead.
on a 5-week tour in 1932,
Uh-huh.
she was in George White's Scandal with me. We finished our tour after the stage show. Our tour ended in Chicago, and Alice left a number with me. I never had any really romantic dealings with her because I was married to Faye Webb. By this time, Faye Webb is on the coast, and we are separated. We finished our tour in Chicago, and Alice gave me her phone number. A few days later, I'm on the tour of one-nighters with a badly infected left foot. It needed wet compresses of Burroughs solution every 3 hours to be changed, and the kid that was doing it got drunk and disappeared, a kid from Maine. So I called Alice and I said, get your rent at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We're playing the Hershey Pavilion and travel with me for the next 5 weeks and take care of me. So you should sing in the car, me, me, a year ago. 5 weeks later, we get to Atlantic City to Steel Pier. The foot had almost cleared up by this time. And we're playing a tea dance. I have the record. I played 9 Labor Day weekends at Steel Pier, Atlantic City. 1,000 persons dancing.
Yes.
So I gave the key for the Mimi, and I pushed her out with Bobby socks and all. And the crowd was crazy about it. I said, we opened the Carter Hotel just from Dillon's in Cleveland, Ohio, next Friday night. Here's $300. Get yourself 2 satin gowns. You're my girl band singer. So we continued to work. Go down Miami in 1933. Only one hotel on the beach, the Roney Plaza. We played North and South Carolina and so forth. She's now my girl band singer. Made a couple of records and so forth. So in 1933, George White decides to make the film at Fox, not 20th Century Fox, Fox.
Fox Studios.
Right.
George White's Scandal at Fox, and they have a leading lady from Vienna. And they get Jimmy Durante as a comedian. So I persuade George White to come up to the Bronx and see Alice sing in a nightclub before we go to Hollywood. So they write, oh, you nasty man, for her special.
Oh,
sing
yeah,
anything.
I remember that.
Do you?
Oh, you nasty man.
So they write the song, $500 to sing one song in the film, train fare back and forth. Lillian Howe, the Viennese actress,
I loved her.
decides not to do the film. I never even met her. I never do it. They look at the rushes of Alice singing her names, man, they talk to George White, he says, I don't own her. Rudy Vallee did. So I called Charlie Feldman, who was a young attorney.
Said that Rudy Vallee owned Alice Faye?
But, yes, she was with my band. She had the
Right,
contact to me.
right.
I'd taken her from little girl in George White's Candles to now a girl band singer. Put her in the air.
Youngster.
Yes.
Put her in the air, made some records with her,
Uh-huh.
and she sang with my band.
Right.
So, I know they're going to come to me and say, what do you want one for it? So I called Charlie Feldman, who's a young attorney I just met. Just started out as an attorney.
Gosh,
Later on
yes.
became famous artists, Ingrid Bergen.
God, you've known everybody.
I said, Charlie, what should I ask for? He says, $500. This is Fox Luncheon. $500.
$500.
That's how she started.
Rudy
She was
Vallee,
beautiful.
you have, what's new and exciting in your life right now? You're writing a book, I know. What is really
I
exciting in
have
your life right
3 or
now?
4 projects, if I have time to talk about one of them.
Yeah.
I've got 32 of the greatest songs in my career, all made with a 40-piece orchestra, taken off the air with a 28-piece orchestra. 12 were done in New York for RKO, Unique, an album with Joe Leahy's fine arrangements. The day the album came out, they went bankrupt. I've got 12 of those. I've got another 12 in Capitol, and that was paid for that with Billy May and his orchestra. These are the finest things of my career on the voice. And from 1950 on, I'll take no back, all the Zellers gone from the DVD except I had here.
Right.
Yeah, but you
These
could
are
act.
the finest things of my career, and as my man says, a voice like no other. A voice that The Daily Mirror in New York came out with 10 pages in June of 1929, and the 8th page said, Rudy Vallee's voice on the air, headline, Rudy Vallee's voice on the air, loaded with sex. A million girls
So
in this headline.
distinctive.
A
You
million
were
girls
noted
proposed
as,
Rudy
as a
Vallee.
Valentino of the singers, weren't you?
Mayman says you have a voice, it's a little hoarse now, unlike no other. I'm the only guy, this album is going to be called Pure Sex.
But he had great
Reserve.
reserve.
Pure
Yeah.
sex and spice. The spice of the Stein song, Betty, Let's Do It. No, that's in between a love song and the spice. Mad Dog's Running Spin, Vieni Vieni, no, not Vieni Vieni. Anyway, the other songs are all love songs. I do, you will play the woman in the tuba down in Cuba, that's...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
These are all crazy things.
Right.
4 or 5 crazy things. The others are all like, all of a sudden my heart sings as time goes by, which I'm introduced to 31. These are going to make or break. At the present time, Time and Life Records are looking at them, but I saw Dean Martin for his another company doing one thing on TV the other night, and that company is now looking at the 40-30
Rudy,
songs.
your book I'm talking about. You have a book coming out about your girls, all the women in your
70
life.
of the women in my life. I
How
don't
many?
think that'll ever be published. I've known one.
Yeah, I like
I have known 180 girls and women in my 83 years of life. 180.
You're
I heard about
Guinness
this.
Book of Records. Eddie Lamar, Ginger Rogers proposed to me in the taxi cab. I've known 180. I've selected 70. Starting with Lowe Vallee and Jack Warner's wife and so on and so forth. And Lowe Vallee. Well, anyway, well, that's 7. I'm now writing a book on mouth and dental care, which the average person doesn't know how to use a toothpick, doesn't know anything about the care of the mouth, how to use a water pick, and this book is going to sell in the middle. It'll become a Bible for persons who care about their mouth and teeth.
You're writing a new book.
I'm writing a book called
Somebody better
Mouth
do
and
it,
Dental
because the
Care.
dentists aren't doing anything.
But the main thing I'm trying to sell right now are the records which are being considered by Time and Life. And what's the name of the other record company? The D Martin did the thing the other night. They're in Long Island, New York City.
Well, there's so many of them now.
No, these two companies. I've been turned down by RCA, turned down by every other big company, Capital. Nobody could see it. Nobody would listen to them. But Time and Life listened. But I think the other company. Oh, what the devil
Rudy
is it?
Vallee,
I can't think of the name of it.
women in your life. Which was the most
Exciting.
exciting woman you have?
To whom I'm now married. Who
The
turned me
one
down
you
at the
are
end of
married?
it. 36 years.
Really.
July 4th, 1945, we just defeated Germany. I have a 52-piece Coast Guard orchestra, 8 trumpets and 7 trombones, Robert Maxwell and harp, one of the finest musical activities in the world. I'm up at Lake Tahoe for my first visit to Lake Tahoe with Charlie Wick, who's put a guy to work at Candidly for one curious to see how this guy coming out, doing out. On July 4th, I'm in a bathing suit. I see this lovely redhead with a boy about this tall, well, it might be her son, swimming there. She was 16. Her name is Eleanor Norris.
Eleanor Norris?
Eleanor. Not
Eleanor.
This is an A there. Elia, not Eleanor. Eleanor. And I see this lovely girl, and I wait for her 2 hours to come out of the water, assuming she knows who I am. The whole Rudy Vallee's here. About 200 persons, maybe 100 persons. I said, would you like to go to Candidly tonight for dinner? I don't go out with strangers. Now, guess who she had a crush on at the time? Ronald Reagan.
She had the
Really?
She said, I
Did she
don't
go
go
out?
out.
Did she go out?
I don't go out with strangers. I bring your father and mother.
Uh-huh.
She said, no. I said, do you ever come to Hollywood occasionally? Next time you come, I'd like to take you to Don the Beachcombers. Fine.
In
Off she
Hollywood.
goes. Says to her mother, some Hollywood character asked me to go to Don the Beachcombers. Mother said, you stay away from this Hollywood character. Back she comes an hour later. The answer is still no. What is your name? Eleanor Norris. Father's name, Harley. I said, L-I-E or L-E-Y? L-I-E. Where do you live? Berkeley. That's all I need to know. So I wait all July 5th. I'm supposed to go for 3 wineries the next day with George Mardiki to the Omakheim in San Francisco. I said, George, something's happened. I don't join until 9 o'clock at night. Wait all day, she doesn't show. So I look at the phone number and the address, and I get back to Hollywood. And Camp Parks, McNavy CB base, says, will you come up and do a show for us without your orchestra? I said, fine. So I send a note to 119 El Camino Real, Berkeley, California. My dear Mr. Norris, I'd like to take you and your father and mother, the Omakheim for dinner, Mark Hopkins for dancing, next night Camp Parks, after the Camp Parks show, Trader Vic's. She comes on the country. I do this in my second number of my show, with slides, showing slides of all this thing, and eventually sing the most beautiful girl in the world, and show about 25 of Christmas card. So she comes on to Christmas, and my mother said, you get a letter from Rudy Vallee. I don't know Rudy Vallee. Open it. That's the man who went take us to Candidly. What's the matter with you?
Right.
I don't remember what it looks like. They go down and get a picture of the movie books of the Palm Beach story with the Homburg hat and the pants. They go, I'm not going out with him. She said, yes, sure, we want to go out with him. The next slide I show, we're getting the marriage license. 1948 and 1949, 2 days before we were married. get a marriage license. Wedding reception, a veil catches on fire, father and I putting it out, and then to the music of the most beautiful girl in the world, picks my ties on. I show 25, like we've been married 36 years.
Wonderful. Congratulations,
Oh,
Rudy.
that's
Rudy, I want to
marvelous.
ask you a question. You've been in Hollywood many, many years. What would you tell the young people out here? I know Hollywood has changed a lot. Has it changed a lot? I mean, what would you tell the young people when they come to Hollywood?
To me, it hasn't changed a great deal, except they don't have the
It's not human.
things that existed in 29, not
Yes.
so much the streets or the
But Hollywood's still Hollywood, isn't it, Rudy?
To me, it is.
Yes, it is,
To me,
yes, yeah.
There's no other place
I
I'd
asked
rather
that
be
question.
and live.
I ask that question all the time, and they say the same thing. It's the same.
No, you
No,
can take the
it's not
east
as
and
human.
west and
Yeah.
northeast and northwest and stick it.
What would you tell young people, quick, Rudy, how to prepare themselves when they come to Hollywood,
Looking for a job.
looking for work? Yes. What would
Be
you-
awfully sure that you have what it takes to do what you want to do, either it's
Yes.
comedy or straight drama. Just, if you wanted to enter Annapolis or West Point, you would at least see the requirements that they have.
Yes, yes.
For instance, if you're 5 feet tall, you can't go to Annapolis or West Point,
Sure.
because they won't take a person 5 feet tall. Just check, see what it requires to do certain things.
And-
Check yourself very honestly. If you don't have it, don't attempt it.
Susanna, for a young, gorgeous little girl you were, and for a great singer in Hollywood, and you've been away for a long time, what would you tell the young kids how to prepare themselves when they come here?
Well, I think if you want to act, I'd go to England,
Really?
number one, definitely,
Why England, Susanna?
because I think that's where you get the best training,
But that's...
by far. Unless you happen to stumble onto something, and like stay away from any of this new mumble jumble, whatever it is, Strasbourg stuff, family. Still Adler maybe, but you can't get near it, still Adler. But I say, no, if you want to act, then really act. Learn the repertoire, go out in the provinces, go to England. If you want to sing,
Mhm.
that's hard.
I see.
That means buy a book by
You
Lamperti
still
called
have a lovely,
Vocal.
lovely voice.
Yes,
Lovely
she's still
voice.
lovely, yes, yes. I must tell you,
You have a voice like no other. Now, not a Marietta. Bum, bum, da, 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 bum, right?
Which one?
That's a
Sing, 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 sing.
Ted McDonald did this on the cell of the Brooklyn Paramount Theater
We-
broadcast.
I must
and
say-
couldn't take it. I held it for her.
must say,
She couldn't
Rudy,
hold that note.
Rudy, I want to invite you. I'm at the Hyatt Hotel on Sunset with my talent showcase every Sunday and Monday. I have singers, comedians, young of kids of Hollywood. They are performing there. And they
What
are
hours?
every Sunday and Monday
What
at
time?
the Hyatt on Sunset next to the comedy
What time?
store. I'm there at 9 o'clock and they're 9 to 1. We have 25 acts. I'd like to invite both of you to come, would you?
All right, this
You'll see
Sunday?
some wonderful entertainers and singers, young of Hollywood talent. Would you
Very
please,
happy.
okay?
Please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Rudy, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you really have been looking at Hollywood today. I want to thank my guest, Rudy Vallee, and lovely Miss Susanna Foster. Thank you.
You
Really,
know.
We're really, Rudy.
Call me anytime.
Direct from the land of celluloid and Haroldoid, welcome to Skippy Lowe Looks at Hollywood. Our guests today are two enduring performers. Although they are known primarily for their screen appearances, both have been trotting the boards of recent and demonstrating their versatility and talent at first hand. On the distaff side, we are pleased to have the charming Marie Windsor.